Welcome to today's vlog. My name is Teacher Isay. Our lesson for today is about graphic organizers. Let's start with a warm-up activity. Identify what is the big concept of the following set. You will be given 5 seconds to answer each item. Let's start! I hope you enjoyed the activity. It's time for the lesson proper. What are graphic organizers? It is teaching and learning tool that is used to organize information and ideas in a way that is easy to comprehend and internalize. There are different benefits of graphic organizers. It will help you simplify information. It will help visualize or present information in a way that is easier to comprehend. It will provide students the opportunity to actively contribute and participate in the learning process through the creation of graphic organizers. This will also help develop cognitive skills such as brainstorming, critical and creative thinking, categorizing and prioritizing content, reflection, etc. It will also help recall prior knowledge about the subject and quickly connect it to new information. It also promotes self-learning. Here are the list of graphic organizers that will be discussed in this video. Timeline organizer, Venn diagram, KWL chart, hierarchy chart, sequence chart, story map, problem-solving organizer, and T-chart. Let's start with Venn diagram. This is a graphic organizer that helps you visually represent a comparison of differences and similarities between two subjects. Here is an example of a Venn diagram. How are you going to use the Venn diagram? Step 1. Write down the topics being compared on the topic of each circle. Step 2. Write down the differences or unique characteristics inside its own sector, avoiding the overlapping area. And Step 3. List the similarities in the common area. Next graphic organizer is sequence chart. A sequence graphic organizer is a tool that helps visualize the order of steps of a process or a timeline of events. It can also be used for note-taking, lesson planning, and essay writing. Here is an example of a sequence chart. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Identify the steps in the process or event. And lastly, using a sequence chart, arrange these steps in sequential order. It is very easy, and now you have your sequence chart. Next is we have story map. A story map can be used to identify the different elements of a story. It's a useful tool that teachers can integrate into the lesson to improve students' comprehension. Here's an example of a story map. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Read a book and understand it well. Step 2. Discuss the different significant elements that were involved in the story. This could be the characters, setting, conflict, and others. You can fill the story map during the discussion or during reading. Step 3. Once the map is complete, you can now discuss each element individually. Next is KWL chart. It is used for gathering information from students' prior knowledge or experience. This 3-column chart captures the before, what the reader already knows, during, what the reader wants to learn, and after, what the reader learned. Stages of reading. How are you going to use KWL chart? Brainstorm around that selected topic and write down everything you know about it in the K column. Step 2. Generate a list of questions about what you want to know in the W column of the chart. And Step 3. During or after reading the book or lesson, answer these questions in the L column. Now you have your KWL chart. Next is Problem Solving Organizer. This can be used to improve the problem-solving skills of the students. It helps students identify and evaluate solutions to problems. Here's an example of a problem-solving organizer. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Identify the problem and write it in the problem box. Step 2. Write down why you think it is a problem in the first place. Step 3. Brainstorm all possible solutions along with the pros and cons relates to them. Step 4. Once you selected the possible solution, list out all its possible consequences. Step 5. You can then make suggestions to improve the selected solution further. And that is your problem-solving organizer. Timeline Graphic Organizer. Timeline diagrams are a type of graphic organizer that shows a sequence of events in chronological order. They come in handy when studying history, as you can use it to display major historical events that occurred during a period of time along with important details such as dates and locations in which they took place. In addition, timeline charts can also be used to show the progress of something. Example, growth of a business or changes. Here is an example of a timeline graphic organizer. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Identify the different events and the sequence of order in which they took place. Step 2. Use a timeline template to arrange them chronologically. Step 3. Include significant details such as dates, locations, and other additional information as needed. T-chart. T-chart allows students to study two facets of a topic. For example, advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons, differences and similarities, etc. Here is an example of a T-chart. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Draw a T-chart and write down the two areas you want to brainstorm around on each column head. And Step 2. Write down facts on each column as you carry out your brainstorming. Next is Hierarchy chart. Hierarchy charts visualize the elements of a system, organization, or concept from its highest position to the lowest. Students can use this tool to understand the superordinate and subordinate categories of a topic and the relationship between them. Here is an example of a hierarchy chart. How are you going to use it? Step 1. Identify the most important element under the topic you are studying. Write this down at the topic of the hierarchy chart. Step 2. List down the second layer of sub-elements stemming from the first component you have identified. Add a third and fourth as necessary. Step 3. Connect this with lines to show how they are connected to each other. There you have your hierarchy chart. Let us recall the different graphic organizers we discussed. Timeline organizer, Venn diagram, KWL chart, hierarchy chart, sequence chart, story map, problem-solving organizer, and T-chart. Now let's proceed to your assessment. Identify what graphic organizer is appropriate in the following situation. Number 1. As a junior high school student, you are already preparing for the track you will take for the senior high school. You want to list the advantages and disadvantages of the tracks you've chosen. What graphic organizer will you use? Number 2. The teacher asks you to create a graphic organizer that shows the similarities and differences of two or more concepts. Number 3. You are about to prepare the list of class officers in your class. What graphic organizer will you use? Number 4. Your teacher wants you to show the change of events from Marcos regime to Aquino's presidency. Number 5. Your mother wanted to teach you the steps on how to cook your favorite adobo. What graphic organizer will you use to follow her instruction? Let's look at the correct answers. I hope you got them all correct. Congratulations!